welcome to the work session with the town of Basalt and our police chief and the police department, Greg Knott. Do you need to call roll, Pam, or?
No.
Okay. Chief, I'm gonna let you take it from here.
So we're waiting for James to bring up the PowerPoint. Sorry.
Well, it doesn't like PowerPoint, so I'm going to save it as something else. Just a minute. When did you get there? Here. Sorry, Greg.
No good?
Yeah, if you want to start talking, I'll bring up the PowerPoint.
Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you for having me. I've not had the opportunity to sit before this council and just kind of give you an overview of the police department. Ryan, welcome back. Got with me and said, it would be a great opportunity to get before council, kind of give a department overview, outline our community outreach efforts, talk about some statistics, and then future planning. This is a real high level overview. It's not breaking down into the minutiae. So I'm happy to come back. I'm happy to answer questions at future meetings, whatever you all need. Just let me know. Okay. So to begin, I think it's always important for us to understand our mission, vision, and values. And, the mission of the Basalt Police Department is do the right thing for the right reasons all of the time. And it's a very simple mission statement, but each and every one of our officers evaluates their actions based upon that. Am I doing the right thing for the right reasons all the time? Is an arrest necessary on this? Maybe not. Is the right thing to do is counsel a person and help get a person through a difficult time? Possibly. So they really rely heavily on our mission statement. And I like the simplicity of it, but also it empowers our staff to do the right things and what's best for the community. Our core values, professionalism, integrity, and compassion, everything that we do is based upon those three things. If you look at our patches, if you look at our badge, and I'm not wearing them tonight, it has those core values on there. So it's a constant reminder that we're compassionate, we have integrity, and we're professionals in what we do. And then the vision statement, you all can see it. It's in the packet. I don't think I need to read it, but we just really envision a true sense of community. Everything that we do in the police department is based around community, and you'll hear me talk about that and how important that is from the police department to serve the community and represent what the community wants in its police department. So if you'll change that, please. One of the things I'm very proud about is we, as the police department, are accredited by the state of Colorado through the Colorado Association of Chiefs of Police. We received our original accreditation in 2016. We received reaccreditation in 2023. It's a very lengthy process to receive accreditation. We have to meet 213 individual defined standards to receive accreditation, and we do that through policy or practice. The standards cover professionalism, personal and professional code of ethics, use of force, emergency response, evidence and property handling, along with many best practices in law enforcement and community outreach. So of the 239 agencies, law enforcement agencies within the state of Colorado, we are one of 39 that have accreditation. So I'm very proud of that, and I really greatly appreciate the support that the town administration and the police officers and everybody getting to that level. It's very, very big. So we talk about community. Our hallmark event is National Night Out every August. I think you've all been there or seen it or understand it. It's where we bring the community together and we host a barbecue. We host it with Roaring Fork Fire Rescue, Pickens County Sheriff's Office, Eagle County Sheriff's Office, a lot of the service providers around the area. And we just all come together to show, one, our collaboration, but also be there for the community. And also it's an opportunity where it's a non-law enforcement event where it can just stimulate conversation, and it can get people to come up to us and say, hey, I have this problem in my neighborhood, or I have this problem and I live out in Eagle County. Well, let me get you a deputy, or let me get you the sheriff. And it's just a great opportunity for us to come together with the community to celebrate the community, but also just make ourselves available. So in 2025, it'll be on August 5th, and it'll be back down at Triangle Park in Willits. We try to rotate it back and forth. So please, if you have the opportunity, we'd love to see you there. Another community outreach program that we have is our Community Police Academy. You've probably heard of these, and they're called Citizen Police Academies, but I didn't want that name citizen because it really limits a lot of our population thinking they have to be citizens of the United States or citizens of something. So this is our Community Police Academy. This is where we hold week-long gatherings with them over a period of 8 to 10 weeks to show them everything law enforcement, everything from driving to the administrative aspects of it, to patrol operations, to being at the range, arrest control, defensive tactics, criminal law. We go into some civil law and how they can better understand all the components of what the police department does on a day-to-day basis. We have hosted 7 academies in the past. This coming year will be our 8th, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later because it's kind of an initiative that we're doing, where we've had 175 participants come to our Community Police Academy, and it's just great. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to show the community who we are and be transparent in what we do. And then they turn out, the attendees, the participants, go back into their families, their friends, their communities and say, when they say, oh, those darn cops, they did this, we've heard multiple stories of them saying, this is why they did this. And they become that advocate for the police department in the town. They also are educated in why things happen procedurally, also legally. And they really get that voice out there for us. And that oftentimes stimulates people coming to the academy because they heard about it through participants. So one of our community events that we're really proud of. Other community outreach events, we have the Faith in Blue that we just started last year, which is collaborating with our faith-based organizations and bringing all of them together. We had a chili cook-off this last year. We hope to make that bigger every year and grow that. We have Coffee with the Cops, bicycle rodeos for the kids, Scouting America. We go and work with them and help them out. We do self-defense training for high school students, active harm training at businesses and organizations here in town. All of our sports team escorts. We have a presence at school events, town events. We have a ride-along program, our Halloween community safety patrols, and then our annual Shop with a Cop, where we, work, and I'm fighting allergies, so I apologize. We work with the school and the counselors at the school to identify individuals that could really use some help, to have either Christmas gifts or help them out with food. And we take these families shopping and help them, through the holiday time. Those are our community outreach. We also do some things behind the scenes, like our medication take-back program. That's a fixed box at our office that anyone, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, can bring by unused medications, either prescribed or over the counter. We started this program in mid-2018, and since then, we've collected just about 700 pounds of unused medications, which is, it keeps those medications out of people's hands. It keeps them out of our landfill. It keeps them out of our waterways. And it's a safe way for people to bring medications to our office, and then they're properly disposed. So what I do is I box them up. I ship them to a facility in Indiana. They incinerate them. Everything is tracked. There's a chain of custody. And all of this is done without any cost to the town. It's through Colorado Department of Health and a grant that we have with them. So it's a wonderful community project that really helps our environment too. We have our Vail Board, which 2 of our fine town council people serve on the Vail Board. The Vail Board's role is to provide assistance to victims of crime. We formalized this in 2019. So there's 2 community members that serve on the board, Ann Stevens and Joe Bauer. Ann is the chair of the board. Then we have our 2 town council representatives and me, which makes up the Vail Board. Thank you. We provide support and financial assistance to victims of crimes. We also provide an annual grant to the River Bridge Child Advocacy Center. This is the 2nd year that we've done that. The board serves as the review board for tobacco grant applications that makes recommendation to the town council for funding of tobacco tax grants. And then it also serves as the review board for the police department donated funds account. So back when Lake Christine happened, we received, it was close to $25,000 in money that people wanted to donate to the police department. I did not want to have control of that. So through ordinance, through town council, we made the Vail Board the overseer of that money. And if there's something outside of budget that we need as the police department, we bring that to the board, and then they make the approval, yes or no, for that expenditure. Most recently, the board just approved 2 interior drones for the police department after an incident that occurred down in Willits that we really needed an interior drone for officer safety and not to send officers in there to figure out what's going on. So we were able to purchase outside of budget with donated funds these interior drones to assist with our officer safety and then, the community safety itself. So since we formalized this project, we've reviewed 56 applications and we've awarded almost $38,000 to victims of crime within the town of Basalt. And this fund only covers residents or crimes that occur within the town of Basalt. So let's get to staffing a little bit. So the police department's current approved staffing is 14 members. The organizational chart, if you will, is there's me, the chief of police. We have a lieutenant. We have an investigator, 2 patrol sergeants, 7 patrol sergeants, 7 patrol officers, a school resource officer who also serves as a police officer, patrol officer when school's not in session, and then 1 administrative assistant. Currently, we're down 2 police officers. We have 2 vacancies, and our investigator is retiring from law enforcement. And don't read that, it says March, it's in May. I found a typo, so I apologize. So right now, we're at 14, we're going down to 3, and we'll get to challenges within hiring here in a minute. So hiring and retention challenges. What a wonderful place to be a police officer. What a wonderful community to be a police officer. So why can't we get police officers? Cost of living always comes high on the list, and attainable home ownership. We're dealing with commuting distance where people live as far down as Silt and Rifle. There's definitely a decreased interest in law enforcement due to national events, due to legislation, due to public sentiment, due to what people read in the media. So we're seeing declining numbers, and this is across the board, not just in the town of Basalt, but across the boards. We deal with larger agencies pulling potential applicants away due to more career opportunities or more specialization. So what sounds cooler to a brand new officer than I'm going to be on a SWAT team? Well, we don't have a SWAT team. But if that's what they want to do, they'll go that route. I want to be a canine handler. I want to be a motorcycle cop. Those type of things that we just don't offer, and the larger agencies do. So it's kind of a pull that they have. We also have, workplace stress due to legislative mandates. In the past few years, we've seen a lot of legislative mandates. We've seen law enforcement officers lose qualified immunity. That is causing a decrease in numbers of applicants that we see. In the town of Basalt, solo shift work has a bearing on the officers. There's times when officers are working 4 hours by themselves. There's times through this day that we only have 1 police officer working. And so we rely heavily on our mutual aid with Pickens County and Eagle County, and we work so closely together with them. But it does become a little bit of a strain on the officers. And then private sector. You look at the private sector where they offer a lot of money for a lot less stressful job and a better work-life balance. When the economy is really good, we really see our numbers of law enforcement officers decrease. When the economy becomes less, then we'll start seeing more applications. But right now we're in that phase where private sector is kind of pulling in. So statistics, once again, this is real high level and I'm moving through things quickly. Like I said, I'm happy to come back. But 5-year statistics are up there in front of you. You'll see an increase in pretty much all categories, and these are not broken down specifically by individual crimes, they're grouped. Takeaways from this page is, there's been an approximate 21% increase in calls for service across the board in the town over the past 5 years. The complexity of crimes are increasing, internet, cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, scam calls, people being called who they think it's their child that's calling them from an AI-generated voice. The complexity of these things is just getting so big that it all takes time and it takes resources. We have increased traffic coming through the town, and that's been since I was with Carbondale 32 years ago. I've seen a constant increase. Everything is getting busier, if you will. That busyness increases traffic, increases enforcement requests from community members, and then ultimately has community impacts to where it's impacting individuals within their neighborhoods. So how do we address that? But it's part of the statistics. Law enforcement is being placed in positions where traditional law enforcement, we've never been placed. We look at mental health. We look at civil situations. We look at a whole variety of things that law enforcement is always on the forefront. We're the ones out there on the street. We're the ones that are there. And so who do they call? They call law enforcement when they have a problem. It might not be us or our ability to fix it, but they're calling us and we have to respond and we have to try and help these individuals. So ultimately, timing and staffing, it's a finite resource. There's only so many hours in the day that we can do so much with so few people. It's not a complaint. Please don't take that as a complaint. It's just a reality that as we grow and as we get bigger and as we get busier, it's just a reality that it does take time and it takes people to address all the community problems. Ryan asked me to kind of go over the physical space needs of the police department and what the plans are for the future. We're currently housed in an office complex over on Elk Run. We're housed in a building with professionals, with consultants, with doctors, with optometrists, and they have to put up with our operation. So we're a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week operation where oftentimes there's a lot of noise that comes from our office, and it's sometimes not choice words, and the poor people that are beside us on two sides or above us are having to hear that. So it's really not optimal for the police department to be in an office complex. It also creates issues with physical security of the office, the staff, the visitors, the individuals that we bring in, our vehicles. Our permanent and temporary evidence storage is at maximum capacity. I have very little room for the things that we have to take in. And on some cases, we have to keep items for life. So in a homicide case, if we have a homicide, we have to keep every piece of evidence forever. And we can't get rid of that. So it just keeps piling up and piling up and piling up. We thin it out as often as we can when we get dispositions from the district attorney's offices, but we're at max on our evidence and our storage. We also lack secure holding for detainees, both juveniles and adults. So if we get an arrest that we need to transport a person to Eagle County, the officers have to go straight from scene and start their drive to Eagle. In the winter, that can take a long time if the roads are bad. So there's no place for the officers to go back to, kind of collect themselves, get their paperwork done, and then take this individual as quickly as possible. So it places a stressor on the officer. It also places a stress on the person that we're transporting to. And then we have no interview room. We have no conference room. We have no private meeting rooms. And we have no mandated rooms under federal law at our current facility. So planning for the future on that. A facilities condition and needs report was done a couple years ago that identified that the police department needed approximately 4,500 square feet of space. We're about 45% below that of what we're in now. We really looked at this and how to work together between departments as a town, and we came up with the idea of creating a public works and police department facility. If you go to the next slide, James, you'll see the conceptual site plan for that. So in this slide, the blue is the police department, the yellow is community type space, and the green is public works. Public works is kind of in the same boat as we are, where their facilities just need upgrading, and they're kind of out of space in like their administration side of it. So this was the idea of how can we combine together and make one compound or complex, if you will, that will meet the needs of two departments within the town. So the town purchased two parcels. One, the most easiest recognizable is the old Umbrella Roofing that's right there at Highway 82 and Original Road on the East Valley side. And then we have the lot behind that, which there has been some building for public works of storage. So this plan incorporates those two lots, what's currently there, and what we could possibly do on that site. If you go to the next page, this is an overview, kind of a blow up of the two levels of the police department and the public works facility. One thing that I wanted to also incorporate into this is some type of community meeting area, some place that we can bring the community into our facility, into our building. As you know, in the town of Basalt, we're very limited on meeting space. I know, I get calls all the time. Could you host something, or can the Boy Scouts? And I just don't have any place. We have town hall with this room. We have the schools, but they're getting maxed out on their space. So incorporating in a community meeting space in a community area that is within the police department and public works facility is also, I think, a wonderful idea to bring folks in and give another place that we can have meetings, HOA meetings, school functions, Boy Scout or Scouting America. You know, the list is endless of what we could do there. So this is the concept design of the police department and public works facility of where we're at now, which incorporates a lot of those things that I just said about what we currently don't have that we need. Okay? So as I look to the future, I look at challenges and opportunities. And so we'll go with the challenges first. So there's budget constraints. We're going to need more staff. We're going to need more patrol officers. We're going to need at least another administrative records person. Our one administrative assistant, Dina, she does it all for the police department. And with the incorporation or the mandate, it's a mandate of body cams where you see each officer wearing a body cam, the management of the body cam alone can be almost a full-time position. She's doing all this, and then all the records, the open records releases, the getting reports to district attorneys. So she's doing all of that as one person. We're going to have to be looking at an additional position there. Patrol staff, as we grow, it's just, we're going to need them. You know, I can't give you a number right now, but just looking at the future, it's a challenge, but we need to be talking about it now, I think. Cost for the combined public works PD facility, 18 plus million. It's a huge number. How do we fund that? What do we look like? You know, what cuts can we make, or what tweaks to that can we have? So this is where, you know, I just want to start that conversation. It's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. You know, staff retention and recruitment, evolving crime trends, those things that I've already spoken to a little bit about, growth in Basalt and surrounding area. I do want to touch on growth. So if you can flip the page, I'll get that in 2 slides. I'm sorry. So challenges, you know, technology, keeping up with what's out there, social media, AI, cryptocurrency, the complexity of the crimes. We have to be able to address all these. It's definitely a challenge. Environmental, we saw it in 2018 with the Lake Christine fire. Climate's changing. How do we plan for that? How do we set ourselves up for success by mitigation? And the town's doing a great job on mitigation efforts of trees and thinning. How do we look at evacuations? You all just signed an IGA for the Genesis evac. We're working towards that. And so it's constantly evolving and trying to address the needs of the future now. And I think we're keeping up, but what comes tomorrow, I don't know. And so that's, once again, challenges. And then back to the challenge of law enforcement is expected to solve community problems and issues even when outside the purview of our profession. We're the first line. We're the visible ones. We're the ones they call. 911 is really easy when a person has a problem. And so we're that person, and we're happy to do that. So now we're getting to traffic and growth. Highway 82 is a corridor, as you all know. You've all driven on Highway 82 in the morning and the evening. Every day, the average daily trips in 2023, up Valley 21,000 vehicles, down Valley 21,000 vehicles. That's 42,000 vehicles a day that come up and down Highway 82 through our 5.5 mile section. It brings 42,000 people through our town at minimum, if there's one person per car. So growth in Basalt, you know, currently under construction, we have 85 units currently under construction in the town of Basalt. That's 187 possible residents. That number is derived by an estimate or a guideline of 2.2 people per unit. So currently 187 people growth that's under construction. Approved but unbuilt, 150 units with the potential for 330 new residents. And under development review, which planning has, there's 107 units, which would add another 235. And those are minimum numbers at that 2.2 per unit. So our current population is listed at 4,500 or 4,154. I think that number's low. I think we're more than that. It doesn't account for our community members that are within Basalt, but in islands of Basalt that are in the county. So the 2 mobile home parks, there's hundreds of residents there that call Basalt home, that come to us for help, and we're there for them. So I think that number is a little skewed. I think it's higher. And then with what we've just spoke about of what's under construction and potential growth, The projected population is to be almost 5,000 people by 2030. Once again, I think that's a low number, but that's just Greg's opinion. And that equates to a 15% increase, in the next few years by 2030. So we're growing. And how do we keep up with that is the challenge that I face. So when we look at challenges, we also have to look at opportunities, I think. And the opportunities that we have to look at is cross-agency collaboration. We work really well with our mutual aid partners of Eagle and Pickens County and Colorado State Patrol, Colorado Bureau of Investigations. But we're going to have to start looking bigger with transitional crimes like the crypto crimes, like the fraud crimes that we're seeing, the computer-generated crimes. It's going to be across regional, state, national, and country borders that we're really working towards. We have to start looking at predictive policing. And predictive policing is data that we use to say, this is where problems are and where we can put our resources. Our current computer system, our records management system, is limited in that. We're going to be fixing that in the next year and a half with the new system through our dispatch center that all 4 agencies use. Eagle, or Aspen, Pickens County, Snowmass, and Basalt, we all use the same system as a sharing of information because people move and up and down the valley. So we're going to have to really rely on data that's coming out of that and trying to guide our services. With the mental health side of it and our peers and the retention, we do a really good job with our peer support and our wellness programs, but there's always room for improvement. How can we help our employees more to cope with the stressors that they have in this job? And it is a very stressful job. And so how can we build upon that? And then also increasing mental health, social service, and drug-related incidents. How can we help our community members? We're seeing an increase in that, and it's an opportunity for us to provide services to our residents. I just left a squad meeting, one of our all-department meetings over at the police department, where this week we're starting a new program with PAC, the Pickens Area Co-Response Team, to bring additional services into Basalt. So we currently use Aspen Hope Center for our co-response. When we have a person in crisis, they go with us on scene. But there's a hole where we have individuals that could use some additional assistance or wraparound services that we've just not been able to provide. This week, that's going to change with PACT and their component of that they'll be able to do outreach. They'll be able to help individuals. They'll be able to follow up with them and provide peer support to our community members. And so that's going to fill a void that's really been lacking, and I'm happy to report that that's starting today. And then to expand crisis intervention training for our staff and community. How can people in the community assist with that to where they might not need to call the police department when they have a family member or a friend leading up to crisis? Can we get the information out there of maybe you can call PACT or you can call Hope Center and they'll get resources to you, and law enforcement's not involved in that because it's really not a law enforcement role to be in, and oftentimes it brings a stigma with it. So how can we increase that? So opportunities continue. Community trust and police reform expectations. Law enforcement is constantly changing over the past few years, and we've seen that. So how can we continue to build community trust? How can we continue to implement reform expectations? How can we increase transparency, accountability, and community focus? All that is getting with the community and finding out what you all need. And it starts with town council. You're the ears and eyes of the community. If you hear something, let Ryan know or the town manager know, and that can get back to me, and we can start to address those things. How can we just get more outreach? How can we increase our transparency? How can we bring more people into our organization to build community? So I see that as an opportunity. I think we do a good job, but there's always room for improvement. How can we do that? It's through all of your help. So, strengthening community policing programs, increasing public communication, and focusing on transparency, those things will all assist us in the future. And I think it'll help with community too. Staffing shortages and recruitment. I said when I was talking about our community police academy, one thing we're going to be doing this year, it's historically been, well, it has been, it's adults only, 18 and over. We've had people coming to our community police academy. This year, we're going to open that up to parents and their children. so that we can start to identify kids that might have an interest in being in law enforcement. I think one of the ways that we're going to get or bridge the gap of our recruitment is start building relationships with young kids to show them how cool this career is. And it's a really cool career, and how cool it is to work in this community. And if they have an interest in that, how can we help them reach that dream or that goal? And so with our community police academy, it's going to be our first year, parents and kids, to show them everything that we do in that police academy. And then find out if people have an interest, young ones have an interest, in how can we mentor them into this profession. And then, through continuous evaluation, planning, and collaboration will help us address future needs of our community. It's a must, but we need help. And we need help from the community, and we need help from council, staff, just to help us understand what we can be doing and how we can be doing it better. So that's kind of, my really brief, high-level overview of the police department. We do a lot of things. So that's just kind of a start. Like I said, I'm happy to come back. I'm happy to provide more information. But I want to save some time. We have about 15 minutes or 10 minutes for questions or anything that I can answer for you all.
Well, first off, I want to say thanks a ton. It's the perception of the department, I think, is outstanding. The leadership of the department, I think, is outstanding, and it's really to be congratulated. To keep it on the tracks and moving in the direction that you're moving this department is fantastic. And all I can do is applaud the effort that you undertake and the officers and administrative folks undertake as well. I just had a few questions. When there's policing collaboration among the counties and other areas, what's not in Basalt? What kind of draw do those, neighboring communities that we have to sort of cover while other folks aren't covering? What kind of draw does that put on the police department, Basalt's police department?
Yeah, and I can run the statistics on mutual aid. I would say, just off the top of my head, probably on a weekly basis, we're going to one hot call, if you will, while their deputy is either outside of the county or way in the remote parts of the county. Right. So we're stabilizing it, we're controlling, making sure that everything's safe, and then waiting for them to get there. So it can be a couple hours, one or two times a week. Yeah. If we look at mutual aid on a deputy doing a traffic stop on 82 at 3 o'clock in the morning, and our officer is going to serve as a backup for the safety. If it turns into a DUI, that can be a few times a week. Mm-hmm. So there is a draw. Domestics, traffic-related incidents, accidents, but they reciprocate the same when we need their help. So it's not like we're just doing for them. It goes both ways, and I'm so grateful for that with the agencies, the two agencies that we have that relationship and that working relationship that we do. But it is a draw.
It's interesting. I guess I just hope that as you continue to row in the direction that it feels like we need to go, I just please ask and advocate and lobby and get in people's ears, because I hear a 15% possible increase in population, a 25% increase in calls over the last 5 years, and still needing 2 police officers to get to the 14 that are approved, and probably likely seeking further approvals. And I agree with you. I think that population growth number is probably pretty low. I don't know how low, but it just anecdotally doesn't feel like that. And I just hope that you continue to bang the drum and pick up the bullhorn and ask for what you need. And I hope we as a council rally around that and make sure that the town manager and you get what you need.
Yeah, and council has been very supportive, since I've been here the last 12 years. Wonderful councils, very supportive to get us to where our needs are at that time. So thank you for that, and I will. But I want to throw kudos to you all. It's wonderful to have a supportive council. So thank you.
I have a question. I wonder if it might be, right. Yeah, I feel for you guys about responding to domestic disturbances and issues that require, more of a social worker type background. I think that you guys probably do a lot of that. And it's great that we have the Hope Center and now PACT. Do you see, once you are in a bigger facility and you've grown your staff, do you see a place for a more social worker, type of role? Somebody who works with the police department, full time?
Yeah.
Is that a model that you've seen elsewhere?
I have seen it elsewhere, and it adds numbers to the staffing. If I was to say, well, how do I phrase this? I think we have service organizations within our community that are outstanding, and they're the experts in that, and they have the training, the knowledge, the experience. I want to keep using them for those roles, because to have a hired clinician to be able to go and do these social type outreach, I just don't have the capacity for that where they do. And I would much rather see us put our financial support to them. One, it's cheaper in the end for the town. And two, we get a whole organization rather than just one individual. Does that answer?
Have you ever, with the Hope Center, has the Basalt PD ever done sort of a communication strategy to kind of try to get people to call a different number if they're in crisis, or if their issue is maybe more mental health related? Like, is there any sort of, pamphlet or branding that's been done with both parties?
Yeah, there has.
Okay.
I just don't know how widespread or what channels people are viewing that on, but it is out there. Hope Center has a new executive director that, we're working together on things, but that's a great idea. And I'll take that back to her and also PACT, our new group, to say, how can we get more information out to the community for resources that are available to them that's not the cops in blue? So,
Yeah,
great
just as a
suggestion.
way to divert some of those calls
Yeah.
from you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for everything that you guys do. I think it's great seeing you guys out in the community, and it's wonderful to see, as diverse as our town is. It seems like everybody feels comfortable with Basalt Police.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot because of
Thanks.
you and the outreach that you do.
Yeah, no, and the officers, I can't speak highly enough of them and what they bring to this, and what they bring to the community. It's really cool.
I just like to second what everyone's already said, but I know it comes from top down, and I've worked with you now for 7 years, and I really appreciate your goals in community policing. I see it in my neighborhood. They stop by, they say hi. It's awesome. It's just great to know you guys are out there, and I just thank you for continuing to progress and continuing to try to improve. I mean, you never stop, so
Thank you.
it's awesome.
Well, good. If I can bring back, I'm sorry, do you have
No,
anything? Okay.
I mean,
No,
I
thanks.
don't need to waste time. I'm just gonna say ditto.
So if I can, if I
Very
can bring back
90s, huh?
information
Very
or
well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
if I can bring back information or answer any questions, please reach out. Once again, this is really quick. This is really high level. It's my first opportunity being in front of this board. So whatever I can do, and then, suggestions and ways that we can better serve the community, please get them to us, because we're always looking for ways to improve. So thanks.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't see Hannah. I didn't see her. Does she have anything?
Hannah, you got
that-
any questions?
Oh, we're good. I just want to say thanks. And I did a couple sessions of the Community Police Academy, so it's neat to hear kind of how thoughtful the naming of that is. So it's cool to see everyone out in the community, and every day on my way to work, I see the student resource officer high-fiving kids as they cross the street. So thank you guys for everything that you're doing.
And I'm sorry I didn't see you on the TV. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
All good.
Okay, well, that will conclude our work session with the police department and Chief Knott. We will take a brief break and reconvene at 6 o'clock for the normal meeting. Awesome. Welcome, everyone, to the April 22nd Town Council meeting. I would just like to remind everyone, if you would like to make a comment during the meeting or during the public hearings, please, you can access via online. The access is on the town, basalt.net, under the Agendas and Minutes tab, and you click on April 22nd, 2025 meeting packet. And on the first page are the meeting instructions. And just a reminder that public comments are timed and limited to 3 minutes. So, thank you, everyone. Pam, will you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Let's begin with Dieter Schindler,
Present.
Ryan Slack,
Here.
Angela Anderson,
Here.
Angel Dupré-Bouchard,
Here.
Rick Stevens.
He'll be late.
Oh, okay.
I talked to him, though.
Thank you. And Hannah Berman.
Here.
And David Knight is absent. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda items. We have 2A, which is the minutes from the last meeting, April 8th, 2025, and 2B, which is to continue the public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 3, series of 2025. And that was the ordinance of Town Council of the Town of Basalt, Colorado, approving the town code amendments, amending section 16203C, renting of rooms and housing units, and amending Apex C fee schedule, other fees table, establish a short-term rental fee, and that'll be continued to May 13th.
Mayor, I move that the town council approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Second.
Move and triple seconded. Next will be the call to the public. A reminder. What?
Sorry, was there a vote or was?
Oh, no.
Okay.
We'll vote. Roll call.
You can just voice vote.
Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. Thank you. Now is the call to the public. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and address your comments directly to the mayor. Identify yourself by name and address when making comments. Comments should be courteous, civil, and constructive. Town council will make no decision nor take action except to direct the town manager. Would anyone like to make a public comment? Yeah, get on up.
Right on. Hello, everybody.
You can adjust that too.
Nice. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy first concert. I'm Ben Belinsky. And hello, Hannah on the webs. What's up? I'm here mostly because I was having a brief conversation with Hannah a few weeks ago when it was just kind of on my mind already about leaf blowers. And that's why I come to you today. It's mostly I was talking about how disruptive and types of things and environmentally sometimes disastrous the leaf blowers can be. And Hannah told me that we just passed a law or something amazing where we're trying to limit the use of leaf blowers in Basalt. And I just came here and wanted to say thank you guys so much. I'm sorry I've missed the last couple of meetings too. I've been busy and it hasn't lined up with the schedule for everybody, but I just want to say thank you everybody for all the work you guys are doing. And just those little wins like that, to me, it actually makes a huge difference to the point where I'm literally shaking, nervous coming up here talking to you guys just because I wanted to say thank you. Those types of things, for me, they're just constant puzzles and I don't know how to address them, but to know that we've got people who are like-minded and trying to take action on similar things, it is just nice. And I wanted to spread the love a little bit at the start of a meeting and just be like, let's do more of that stuff together. How can we keep problem solving the little stuff? So yeah, just thank you very much. There's a small question built in if there's any room to have some kind of a dialogue, but I don't know if this is the time, and if it's not, let me know. But I was mostly wondering, like, then after these types of rules are put in place, how do we communicate that to those people who are the ones that use those tools on a day-to-day basis and now have to adjust to that change? And you don't have to answer if it's not time, but I'm curious.
Is it okay if I address?
I think
just
we
so
have plenty of time to do it.
Ben, in case you wake up on a Saturday morning and there's a leaf blower going outside your window. So the green team and Michelle had worked through a new policy, and it applies to town properties currently. So we're kind of putting our toe in the water, wanted to make sure that, we're walking the walk. And so we just put that in place. So all of the town contracts that we have, as well as our own public works folks, will be using the electric leaf blowers. That's in effect now. And then, I think it's a phase 2 or 3 to move into other categories for leaf blowers with the goal of eventually eliminating the 2-cycle, motors, gas motors altogether.
Awesome. Thank you. That feels like a very natural type of way to step into it, move in the right direction. That's cool. I didn't know. That's all I'm here for. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Keep up
you.
the good work.
Ben.
You guys are awesome.
Anyone else in the audience? I'm looking at you two. You're the only two that are here from the public, technically.
Is this though, are we talking about the STR?
No, STRs, that was actually, if you have a comment on STRs, you could make it now because that's actually not on the meeting tonight.
It's been continued
It was
to
continued
the next
May
meeting.
13th. So, but if you want to make a comment on it, you're more than welcome to. Or you can save it for May 13th or next meeting. Well, I guess that is the next meeting. Yeah.
Yep.
Not very good at the calendar.
You need to come up to the microphone, I'm sorry.
Come on up.
I think that podium is back.
Perfect.
My name is Janie Rich, and I live at 116 West Cypress Drive in Basalt. And I'm here just to talk about the STR, and I wrote something down. I've lived in this valley since 1986, when I moved here for a teaching job at the community school in Woody Creek. And like many others starting out, it became clear to me that buying a home in Aspen was out of the reach for me. And so I made the decision to purchase a piece of property here in Basalt in 1992. I took in a roommate to help cover the cost, and I've lived here ever since. And this community this neighborhood shaped my life in so many ways. I met my husband here, we raised our children here in this neighborhood. And over the years, I've worked in the education field, local nonprofits, served on boards, volunteered for nonprofits, etc. And in 2005, we rebuilt our home to better accommodate our family. And we wanted to keep it small and keep it within keeping of the neighborhood. So we built it small, didn't have a guest room. And so we decided we'd build a guest house in the back, live there while we redid our house so that we could accommodate friends and family and guests. And so when it's not being used for that purpose, we've decided to rent it out as a VRBO here and there, not a whole lot. Because it shares our backyard, it is in really close proximity to our home. We don't want to rent it out full-time. It just doesn't work in that way. So short-term rentals is perfect, especially in the winter because we don't see them so much. And I want to respond to a comment that was made I think it was at the first hearing about this. And someone suggested that short-term rentals were increasing the demand for labor, specifically, cleaning staff, maintenance staff for these VRBOs, and putting more pressure on the Valley's limited workforce and housing supply. In our case, it's not true. My husband and I, we handle the cleaning, the maintenance for our guest house ourselves as we mow our lawn and use a leaf blower sometimes, shovel our driveways, and we manage that upkeep of our property. So what I would ask for the council to consider is, have we looked at second homeowners and how they can contribute to our housing crisis and creating a fund as this tax would do? Currently, we have about 5 second homeowners on our street. One has been undergoing remodeling since last fall and brings in 2 or 3.
I'm sorry, we'll let you wrap up because there's no one here.
Okay. 2 or 3 workers a day, along with 2 or 3 vehicles on our street. Another home that is not designated a second home but is under construction has had 4 to 5 trucks parked in front of our home for over a year, easily 10 workers a day. These homes, the other homes that are second homeowners, are empty most of the year, and they require a lot of maintenance because they're not there. You know, you see during a snowstorm, you see a private crew shoveling the driveway, clearing the cars across the street, while another team has a private plow and they are working on the house behind us, and there's no one there.
Now you do have to wrap up, I'm sorry.
Okay, these same homes employ lawn garden crews with 3 or 4 people coming weekly. In contrast, my husband and I do most of it ourselves. For us to have this additional tax just doesn't sit well as a community member, as we've been a part for so long of this community. I would love it if you could look at the second homeowner situation and how they can contribute to this tax.
Agreed.
Thanks for taking the time. Sorry, it went over.
It's okay. Thank you so much for bringing it up. And we encourage you to come back May 13th.
Okay.
Okay, anyone on, Suzanne, iPad. Can you hear us?
Suzanne, if you
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Great. My name is Suzanne Shear. I live on Homestead, and I am a 40-year resident of the Roaring Fork Valley, and have a story similar to Janie's in that I moved here after college, left to pursue a master's, came back, and then worked at Aspen Valley Hospital for 25 years. And like Janie, when I came back to the Valley, I realized quickly that a physical therapist salary was not going to buy me a house in Aspen, so I ended up down Valley in Basalt. And I feel fortunate to have landed here, to have raised my children here, and to maintain a home in a community I love. Currently, I rent my home, I'm guessing maybe 40 days a year. As a retired physical therapist, this allows me to manage the ever-increasing costs of property tax and home and fire insurance. It also affords me the ability to help my children, one who lives in San Diego and one who lives in Boulder. And like here, these are increasingly unaffordable places to live. I have 3 people that help me with my home. I've known each of them for well over 25 years. They would help me with my home if it was rented or if it wasn't. Someone to do the lawn, someone to help me clean, and someone to help me fix things. They have all lived in this valley for well over 25 or 30 years. Each have homes in the valley, and each have raised their children and their grandchildren here. So, like Janie, I feel similar to this in that I'm not bringing in an extra workforce. So I guess I would say I have your proposal to use the short-term rental revenues to subsidize affordable housing raises a few questions and a few problems for me, quite honestly. I have concerns about fairness. It seems discriminatory to burden a relatively small group of homeowners who already as short-term rentals pay over 12% in state, city, and county taxes, as well as a $475 licensing fee. Additionally, some of us have paid well over $6,000 to the town of Basalt to minimize the constraints of a deed-restricted property. I feel like it's an unequal burden to bear. We're not talking about a conglomerate or a large corporation. These are your town people. These are the people that live here in your community. And secondly, and most importantly for me, I feel like there's a lack of transparency and a lack of a plan. Without clear guidelines of how you're going to manage the short-term tax rental revenue, how it's located, and other details associated with it, I feel like you're not meeting the basic standard and the requirements necessary for the good stewardship of public policy. So I would urge you to revisit this, and I'd like you to take a look at it, with a little bit more holistic approach. It's a big problem, and I think it needs a bigger approach. And I'm with Ben. Yay, no leaf blowers.
Great callback. Thank you so much for your comments, and I would encourage you to come or sign into the next meeting on May 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public that would like to make a comment? Seeing no more hands and no one online, we will close the public comment and we will move on to mayor and council reports. Thank you for coming. I would just like to thank Public Works. I know winter is just winding up. We'll probably get a little more snow here at some point, but just want to thank you guys for all the hard work you do with the snow plowing and just keeping everything going. So you got a great team, and they're constantly doing the trash, and nothing ever really slows down around here. So thank you to you and your team. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move on to the manager's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I've got three quick things for you. So the first thing is just to inform you guys, so it would not be a surprise and to get feedback from you if there is any, but Michelle has been working most recently with Valley View Hospital, and it looks like we have an agreement with them to be able to put some advertisement on our Basalt Connect buses. And there is agreement with also the downtowner folks who technically control those buses. And we, however, will get the revenue from it. And so it's sort of a creative way, knowing that we're going to lose probably most of our grant for next year. There's a chance that we'll still have some grant money coming in from RAFTA, but just kind of trying to turn over all stones. And Michelle did a good job of working with those folks, and looks like we've got a little bit of revenue coming in. We don't know, I don't believe, what the wrap looks like exactly. I don't think the entire bus gets wrapped. There's probably, something prominent on there for Valley View Hospital. So that'll be for 2 years, right? And it gets us, a nice little chunk of revenue each year for that. So, and we, can put that back toward the cost of doing business for that service. So, any questions on that? Feedback, thoughts?
Yay.
Yeah, I think it's super creative. Yeah, way to.
Yeah. Great.
I didn't NASCAR it out as far as I think we care.
Just so you're not surprised.
Yeah. And then two other quick things. So we penned a letter and would like for the mayor to sign it. And this letter would go to Bennett Hickenlooper and Jeff Hurd. And essentially what this is advocating, the federal government is going through an effort to get rid of tax exempt bonding for public projects. And to the extent that that occurred, we're coming off the heels of finishing the Midland project. The borrowing costs or the costs of doing business, if they got rid of that, would increase our projects, somewhat significantly. And of course, then that just ends up rolling down to the taxpayers here locally. We know that several other municipalities and counties across the state are doing similar things, and we would like to go ahead and get that out ASAP. So if we get a nod from this group on that, I'd like for David or Ryan for you to sign this, and we can get that out this week.
How dare you speak his name?
What's that?
I said, how dare you speak his
Yeah.
name?
My apologies. Yeah, that's right.
Nod.
Good. Nod. Okay. Very good. And then the last thing is in large part due to Doug and Jenny here. And I think Doug had mentioned that we had applied for the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award through the Government Finance Officers Association, and we were awarded that. So basically what that is that an indicator that our budget tells the story of our finances as a management tool, where the revenues are coming from, what our strategies are to, uphold our services, and what the associated expenditures are. I'd say for a small town like us, it's a big deal. So huge pat on the back for those two, as well as our staff who help contribute to this as well. And that award, of course, sits alongside our Distinguished Award in reporting. So every year, for the last 4 years or so, we've received an award for our audit. And so basically, when the auditor comes in and takes a look at our numbers, that's an acknowledgement that those are in order. And then that audit also tells the story of, sort of all of our assets, our expenditures, our revenues. And so, again, I think this is a big deal for a town our size, and it speaks to the transparency and the care that goes into managing our finances. So that's it.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, good job. Good job, finance team. Okay, well, let's move on to presentations. We'll start with 6A, the Midland Streetscape Update. Catherine and Jeff. Welcome, Rick.
Oh, well. Hey, guys. Good to see you, council members, Michelle, Mayor. It's been a little bit since I've been here. You guys have the packet in front of you, but if you don't mind, can you share that just so we can go through the picture?
Yeah, I'll try.
Appreciate it.
Just a quick second.
That's right.
All right, so brief update. Spring is allegedly here, as we've all observed. Students they've been back in pretty good force, working on all the post-winter stuff. Since I sent this report last week, all the planting beds, or the majority of the planting beds, are mulched out. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Now the planting beds are mulched out, working on irrigation final connections, obviously planting poles, planting accessories, all of the electrical trim for those poles is complete now, with the exception of catenary. So that's coming up. The big thing to avoid noise and everything moving forward is paving on East Midland. So weather contingent, that is scheduled for the week of 4/28. So hypothetically, the following week, the noise will be reduced dramatically and the town's going to be pretty much put back together. Budget-wise, no change orders, budget adjustments since change order 5, which was East Midland paving. So we've got that taken care of. We are still retaining almost $200,000 in our owner contingency. Don't really see any risks or changes for that. So we're in really good shape financially on this project, guys. Guess if you want to go through the pictures, I hate this though when you do the packet the week before and then everything is now looks even better than these pictures, but this was last week, April 16th. That's when they first started raking out, prepping, topsoiling all the planter beds. So that's on the north side of the street looking west. The next one, yep, you can start seeing some of the poles, some of the banner flags, some of the basket carriers. Go down to the next one. So this is East Midland. So this is their prepping for pave.
So I'm sorry, you said that starts on the 28th, the week of the 28th?
Yeah, the week of the 28th.
And that's a 8-day project? Oh, sorry. That's a 7 or 8 day project?
So paving itself is only going to be a 2-day project.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to do single lane, traffic control, switch, opposite lane. Yep. Yeah, so that's just the asphalt paving itself. But they've been working on the prep and cut, elevation changes, all that for several weeks now.
Right, there's some additional concrete work to go along as well, and that's really the most disruptive activity, so that's going to take a little bit longer.
Correct. Yeah, I guess the next one is just further west, looking east when they're doing all that preparation on that side. Next one is just punch list brick replacement. This was, again, April 16th, last week. They've got that stitched back together. It is fully open. And so with the exception of the concrete paving that Michelle was talking about, hardscapes are done. And then the last one is just topsoil in the beds, doing some planting. And I guess it's worth mentioning this week, landscape architect and our landscape subcontractor did a walkthrough, looked at plant mortality, determined replacements, and gave it a pretty good bill of health. But a lot of stuff died, got ran over the winter, but we're going to fix it. So that is all I have, guys.
Just one quick question, you probably have the answer. What are we going to end up doing at, I know we had like a mini roundabout down by the barbershop. Is that still happening, or is it just going to be kind of as is?
That was cut out of the scope when we did the value engineering. Okay. That being said, I think we'll have the design on it. Yeah. Should we want to move forward with that at some point? Okay. But for now, it'll just.
So they just pave basically until that stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to be super clear, the finishing of this section of work is going to go on through probably the third week of May. So I don't want anyone to misunderstand that we just have like a week left. We're close, but there's just a little bit more work to go. But flower baskets are on their way. Mm-hmm. So there'll be some life coming back.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. How exciting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Any other questions?
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, let's move on to 6B, the BPAC update. Sarah and Brent.
Yeah, I had initially put Brent's name on there because in the future he'll be doing the updates for a lot of the art stuff, but obviously he is running Earth Day over there today, so I'm gonna let him do that.
Oh, and I did need to compliment you guys on Earth Day. It's a great party going on over there. Checked it out before I got
Yeah, it's kind of funny presenting with a little beat in the background going on.
Soundtrack.
Kind of, yeah, it's nice, right? All right, well, I am here this evening to present to the council an update on recent initiatives from the Basalt Public Arts Commission, also known as BPAC. And I'll start with the BPAC grant program, and James, you can forward to the next one. So the BPAC grant program, it's in its 7th year now. It was approved in 2019 with the goal of encouraging arts as a central role in the social and economic fabric of Basalt, the Basalt community, and to explore and cultivate partnerships to support the town's public art goals. So the BPAC Arts program, I have some images displayed from the 2024 program right now. James, and you could switch to the next one if you'd like as well. This is open to local artists and nonprofits for public projects or programs that support accessible public art for general public or defined population within the town of Basalt. And so this year's application was released in February. Council, you had approved a budget of $70,000 for this initiative. BPAC received 16 applications by the deadline. And that is more than ever had been received before. I've been saying this every year that I've taken over this program. So the last 5 years, I've been saying, wow, we're getting more than ever before. So we know that this is a highly successful program, and it's been a very competitive application process. So because of that, grant maximums were capped this year at $10,000. So BPAC desired to be able to fund as many applicants as possible. And that successfully met the criteria within certain categories, and that included community, accessibility, impact, culture, and skill building. So this year, the BPAC chose to fund 11 applicants, and if you want to go to the next slide. And so these 2025 recipients, that is a busy slide, sorry about that, but it's also shows you how many we were able to fund. So we start with TACAW for their free youth nights. The Art Base was funded for free after-school youth programming as well as monthly crafter news. Mitzi Rapkin received a grant for a free event. It's an audience interactive participatory interview in a series called First Draft, a dialogue on writing, and that's going to be a series of those happening in TACAW. Young artist named Will Sardinsky was funded for undertaking a photo project called Waiting Together, where he photographs with permission folks that are waiting for RAFTA buses in the Basalt area. And his notion is RAFTA being a community link and kind of a great equalizer, a great unifier. Everybody takes RAFTA. And so this is going to culminate in a display of his photos. It was going to be actually at the RAFTA bus stops, and now he's going to be working with the Basalt Library. So some of these have kind of, shifted and morphed, and we've worked with some of the applicants to kind of figure out how those shifts can occur successfully. Rock and Roll Academy Aspen was provided a grant for scholarships for youth to attend their programs, and they hold free concerts at Lions Park each Friday over the summer. You may have caught some of those last summer. The Basalt Choir Boosters was supporting the annual spring musical Footloose. I got to see Angela there. I hope some of you got to see that because that was an excellent event. Voices is receiving support for their Sage Voices project, and this involves dialogues between the youth and the older population. They were not fully funded, as some of these weren't, and the BPAC worked again with this applicant to figure out what are the Basalt-specific aspects of their application, and I think that became very successful and allowed still some funding. Aspen Dance Connection is going to be bringing a free production to the Basalt River Park during Basalt River Jams this July. Basalt Regional Library received a grant for free concert rhythm future quartet that'll be happening in the coming weeks. Local dancer Sarah Recente is going to be doing a free Move With Me class for children and their caregivers at the Basalt Regional Library. And lastly, the Basalt Choral Society received a grant in support of their spring and winter performances, the latter which takes place at TACAW. So that is quite a few art productions and performances we'll be seeing. There was one late applicant that missed it by one day. The BPAC grant guidelines did indicate that any late submissions may be reviewed after all other submissions had been reviewed by the BPAC as well as funded. So it has not yet been reviewed, but we plan to do so at the next BPAC meeting. There is roughly $3,900 in funds remaining from this year, and so we'll ask the BPAC if they would like to consider that late submission. So we may be bringing an update to the council at a later meeting should that funding be allocated to that project or program. So that is the first thing I wanted to update the council on. If you want to move to the next one. The second is the BPAC Art Consignment Program. This is really Brent's baby, but he's over there helping with the Earth Day event and is going to be probably working there late, breaking down and helping that event be successful. So this is an initiative of the recently approved Capital Improvement Program. It's an effort to enhance public art and in designated areas of town and enhance the vitality in the Basalt business districts. The program asks artists to display their sculptural art within the town for periods of 2 years, after which it'll rotate out and new art will take its place. So the current efforts are to focus on Midland Avenue, where the staff has identified several potential areas, locations for art pieces. And the desire is not to be overly prescriptive here. The BPAC will review the artist's submissions and choose pieces that fit appropriately within the walkway and the streetscapes that seem to blend really well, that are safe, that are, don't have a risk to the piece of art because of snow, things like that. So not really designing for an area, we're going to find pieces that fit well within the streetscape. And the goal is to get the program going to downtown area along the newly enhanced streetscape, and then to bring the program in 2026 to Willits Town Center. So the call to artists has been released, and that's really the update here. Artists have been engaging with staff, have expressed intentions to submit. I don't think as of today we have actually any submittals, but we do anticipate there'll be a few coming very soon. So more to come on that one. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, or if you want to discuss any of these programs.
How many spaces for this program do we have in, like, here and then in Willits?
We haven't identified them particularly in Willits this time. We were focused mostly on just the Midland area. And I think kind of in general, we had about 5 to 7 spaces that we felt would be good. And it really does depend on the art that we get. So something that might work for one piece won't work for another, might be too bulky for something. So we have it in somewhere in that seven range.
Yeah, just to follow up, there's a lot of creative infrastructure improvements, including hanging baskets and all the things that everybody's been waiting for. And we do have a lot of street art out there now that's pre-existing. I just wonder if the remaining construction, the paid parking, the full-on summer that we haven't experienced yet with Midland Avenue, that we shouldn't be very conscious of just letting the dust settle a little bit and really picking out good sites for these additional pieces of art, and so that it doesn't continue to be kind of, it's interesting to watch the pedestrian movements and the vehicle movements and the delivery movements over the last 6 months or so, and I'm kind of seeing some things that I think are going to have to be worked out a little bit. Timing, schedules, events, coordination. So I think the community needs a little breather for 30 or 45 days or so before we launch another big initiative. This doesn't sound like a big initiative, but it's starting to look like we're adding a couple more concerts. So it might be nice to just let it sit for a while and see how it works. And I'm not opposed to anything you're suggesting. I just think that this summer is going to be a real learning opportunity for Public Works and the police and everybody else and the guests.
I can appreciate what you're saying. I don't think that we want this to be cluttered at all. We want this to feel right, the right pieces are the right place. And it doesn't necessarily mean just because we've identified potential areas that every single one would be filled. It's not a intent to plop down 7 pieces right away. I think the intent is for this to happen organically and find the right pieces for the right shape. I don't think anyone wants this to look really cluttered, too much street furniture, too much stuff, but it's that kind of balance of kind of keeping interest and vitality and bringing people downtown. We know that art also serves as placemaking, so it's kind of one of those things, meet me at the XYZ statue, and it serves a lot of benefits. But I agree with you that I think it has to be tempered and approached in a thoughtful manner. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I think, and I don't think we're gonna have the fortune of getting 10 submissions to pick from at once, so I think you're right. Yeah.
I think this is awesome. We've been talking about this since I started on council, so it's really cool to see it come together and you guys take the initiative, put out the call. I'm looking forward to see what we get.
Great. The call has been extended to May 31st, so we do have a little time to get more of the landscaping in and the hanging baskets and get more of that kind of beautification going, and it'll help guide us, I think, more and more, guide the BPAC, I should say.
Yeah, I'll just add one last little tidbit here. Even if we did get several submissions by May 31st, there's a whole contracting period and delivery period and all of that, and installation period. So I don't think that we would have something installed on, it'll take some time to go through all of that. So to the point of all that being done.
Okay. I think the teen night thing that you're doing is just so cool. And I think it's an exciting thing for kids, who live here, who maybe don't have as many of those kinds of opportunities to get together. That's really fun. So thank you for doing that, including that.
I agree. It was fun to learn about it. I mean, I don't have a teen yet, but I would hear from, we read the application, and then I heard from different parents that said, yeah, this is a really great thing to have in a community. It's not a typical city where you have a lot of outlets and stuff. And it was apparently the one that they did last year was highly successful. So I'm glad that the BPAC chose that to move forward with. Great.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
It's cool to see that all this stuff is happening in Basalt, and then to have you come here and see, because it's easy to see, art and events and things when you're out and about, but it's nice to know, and I hope the people that live in Basalt know it doesn't happen by accident. They know that the town is so heavily involved in supporting all of that art, from the high school musical, to installations of art pieces. It's really cool.
And we have one open chair on the BPAC board, so tell your friends and neighbors. Thank you.
Stay there because your interview's next.
Okay, we're gonna move on to council actions. 7A, interview and appoint a new green team member. And sorry, is it Marlena?
Marlena, yes, perfect.
Before I pronounce it wrong.
You did great.
It's an interview and appoint a prospective green team member, Marlena Murphy. Sarah.
Great. Well, I will skip my first intro, but I'll just say that Marlena resides in El Jebel area. She's currently employed as a sustainability manager with Aspen Hospitality, located in downtown Basalt. She has expressed a strong interest in environmental sustainability, and she has a background with sustainable business practices and is interested in helping Basalt achieve its climate action goals. The Green Team may have up to 7 voting members. Green Team currently has 5. And so we would welcome more membership on the board. Marlena has attended 2 meetings with the Basalt Green Team, and the Green Team has provided a unanimous recommendation to council to appoint Marlena to the Green Team. So with that, I will turn it over to, council, if you'd like to ask some questions. Or if you would like to just maybe start it off by telling a little bit about yourself, would that be easier?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So yeah, I've loved nature from the beginning. I grew up surrounded by woods. I grew up working in the restaurant industry. So as soon as I started working in businesses, I kind of started to realize all the sustainability challenges there, all the food waste and plastic, and started making some changes there. And then decided to go to school to study and learn more about that. And I'm just super passionate about sort of bridging the gap between sustainability and business because they don't always align. I've been working with Aspen Hospitality for about 2 years now, and it's been such an amazing experience. And I feel like a lot of the stuff I'm trying to do aligns with local government or just connects with it. So I'd love to help on that side too, and see what I can do to help out on that front.
And I should add, Marlena has been willing to have an appointment for 3 years, which is our typical term of engagement.
Any questions?
What woods did you grow up in?
What was that?
What are the woods that you grew up in?
Adirondacks in upstate New York.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for volunteering.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, I'm happy to potentially help with this.
Yeah, thank you for taking it on. Mayor, I move that the town council appoint Marlena Murphy to the Basalt Green Team for a 3-year term to end April 22nd, 2028.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Sure.
Or is it a voice? Can we do a voice vote?
You can do a voice vote.
A voice vote's fine, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, time. Okay, we're gonna go to 7B. This is a public hearing and second reading. Ordinance number 7, series of 2025. Ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Basalt, Colorado, amending sections 8.2 and 8-4 and Appendix C of the Basalt Municipal Code to update the time parking zones, traffic control schedule, and fine schedule for the regulation of parking by the Town of Basalt, Colorado. Ryan and Jeff.
Sure, I'll handle this one. This is a second reading to amend the code related to timed parking. So in the packet, there is a map that depicts a 2-hour parking zone and a 24-hour parking zone in downtown. And the code amendment is to basically incorporate those areas and define them into the code and create those limitations for parking in the downtown parking area. In addition, it sets out a fine for violating those timed parking restrictions, and also allows for the town to hire a private company to do parking enforcement and to collect fines in that enforcement. So that was something that needed to be in the code for us to hire that parking manager. Nothing's changed since first reading. It's a public hearing, so I'd suggest taking public comment, but otherwise, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And maybe I'll just ask Ryan, just for the council and everyone's to remember, when do we plan on rolling out our parking enforcement with our new parking contractor?
So it should be beginning of June. And we recently just went through the exercise of getting all the signs ordered. So thanks to Justin for helping us out with that. And then his crew is going to be helping us put them up. I should have the contract back from the contractor hopefully this week here. They're building out the website and the map. So I've been responding and helping on that front. So all the pieces are coming together with it. And then just, I think we'll do in May sort of a flurry of communications to try to make sure that everybody's aware. And then we'll put it right in people's faces soon enough, just with like our variable message boards and things like that, just so that as people are driving in, they know what the situation is.
And will there be direct communications to the businesses?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Make sure that they can notify their employees.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the services that the contractor does. If we feel like that's not being done at the level we need it to be done, we can certainly supplement, but that is, they are doing this in other communities successfully, and we've heard good feedback on that piece of it. So I think they will be good ambassadors for the program.
Any other, I guess it's, it's a public hearing. I will open the public hearing at 6:52. Anyone in the public want to comment? No one online, no one in the room. I'm going to close the public comment at 6:53. And any other questions or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt ordinance number 7, series of 2025 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. This one we need a roll? No. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? None opposed. Passes. Awesome. We will move on to 7C, resolution number 16, series of 2025. Resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, adopting the Willets Lane Connectivity and Town Wayfinding Plan. Michelle and James.
Yeah, thank you. Let me please share my screen here, just a quick second.
While James is doing that, we have Chloe Ward from Alta Planning and Design, who's our consultant, who will help walk us through the plan as well.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so just briefly, this item is a resolution to consider the Willets Lane conceptual plan and town wayfinding plan. As a bit of background, the town has had formulation of the Willets Lane plan on the town's work plan and capital improvements plan for several years. It was recognized some years back that Willets Lane is a corridor that is and will receive additional traffic, pedestrians, bicyclists, all due to the build out of Willets Town Center and Cypress Meadows that is still underway. as it is a road corridor that melds the needs of cars, commercial trucks, and delivery vehicles, pedestrians, bicyclists, and even rafters. It was recognized that there needs to be a plan formulated for future improvements to ensure that these uses in the corridor can continue and thrive, and a plan that also better encourages bicycle and pedestrian use. So a request for proposals was put out last year, and Alta Design and Planning, which Chloe is with, was selected. And they conducted public outreach with open houses as well as site walks with stakeholders. There was also meetings with town citizen boards to understand the desires and challenges for the area. And so Alta, in connection with staff, has formulated a conceptual plan. The post committee reviewed it and has recommended approval of that conceptual plan. So Chloe with Alta is here this evening, and she'll guide us through the plan.
Yeah, thanks, James. So as James mentioned, we started this plan the beginning of last year, and we started off with the first phase of engagement to really hear from the Basalt community and the Basalt citizen groups and other stakeholders to hear what their concerns were with their experiences traveling by all modes along Willets Lane. And we had a community open house. We also had an Earth Day pop-up, so very timely today, speaking with you all. And a lot of the themes that we heard in that first phase of engagement were the desire for some traffic calming along Willets Lane, bringing the speeds of vehicles traveling along Willets Lane as well as traffic volumes down to make it more comfortable for people walking and cycling. And so traffic calming as well as enhanced pedestrian crossings. There were a number of comments related to commercial rafting, especially at Durox Park and the congestion that happens there with path users and rafters. There were a number of comments related to the Hooks Lane Bridge, which was outside of the scope of this project, but those were documented in the plan. And also a desire for some level of separation between modes, whether that be more space for cyclists and people walking on a wider shared use path, or separating them completely with the addition of dedicated cycling infrastructure. And so that led us to a second round of engagement where we presented two concepts for Willets Lane, one that did kind of widen and enhance the existing Willets Lane trail, and one option that had bicyclists in separated bike lanes along the roadway. Both of those concepts included the traffic calming and crossing enhancements that we heard loud and clear during that first phase. So we presented two concepts, and those were presented both in another round of community meetings and online surveys, but also to the post committees and other town citizen groups. And there was a lot of support for those traffic calming and enhanced crossings, but not a clear consensus on one way or the other with a widened shared use path or separated bike lanes, just that some improvement would be great to increase the comfort and safety for people walking and cycling and calm traffic along the lane. And so that led us to kind of a phased approach to as Willets Lane evolves and grows with the development that James just talked about, and with more people maybe changing their modes, how they travel around town, starting off with those traffic calming and kind of spot improvements to enhance pedestrian crossings along the corridor, and then a phase 2, which would enhance the existing Willets Lane trail with widening in areas that space allows, and adding more kind of amenities, some sites for art were identified. And then a third phase that if the pedestrian and cyclist traffic, as well as, just the use along Willets Lane, as that continues to grow and evolve, a third phase would look at widening Willets Lane to, or not widening the lane everywhere, but fit in bike lanes in addition to that trail enhancement, with some locations noted, identified for widening to accommodate those improvements. But we felt that this phased approach that we developed with town staff and with input from post committee, that would allow the improvements to kind of grow with the needs of the town and with the needs of Willets Lane. So happy to speak to any of those in more detail. The kind of second piece of this whole project and plan was creating a wayfinding system to be deployed around the bicycle and pedestrian network throughout the town of Basalt. So we went through kind of a branding process to develop signs that we feel reflect the kind of recent rebranding that the town went through and the character and existing signs around town with the, those are on 62, the wayfinding signs. Okay. That reflect the character and the natural elements that other signs and art around town are already illustrating. And so some blues and greens with a similar kind of trout that is on some of the other elements in town. And then we created an initial placement plan of about 50 signs that would guide folks from downtown Basalt here towards the Willets Lane corridor, as well as from here to the high school. And the plan also includes kind of best practices for town staff to move forward with as they want to deploy more signs around town. Michelle, James, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I would just add on the wayfinding signs, one of the things that's kind of fun is that there's mileage and then also time to help people understand that Basalt is only 4 miles long. And so you can ride a bike from one end of town to the other in 15 minutes. And I often use my husband as the person to throw under the bus, that he would never do it if he thought it was further. And so I think there are probably a lot of people that don't know that. And so just, some of the wayfinding is to encourage people to use multimodal as well. So.
And the timestamp kind of helps too with the WeCycle, knowing that with that first 30 minutes, if you know from the wayfinding signs that you can get from A to B in 15 to 20 minutes in that first kind of free 30 minutes on the WeCycle, you're more likely to do it.
Exactly.
And I think, the concept of the Willets Lane plan is conceptual. And so approval of this resolution would allow town staff to go on and get schematic design of the individual aspects of the plan, such as the phase 1, different crosswalk treatments in the different areas. And then once we got that schematic design, it would go back to the referral agencies for discussion and review on those specific plans.
Oh, and real quick, another element that was pretty important to the whole kind of theme of this plan was setting the town up for bicycle-friendly community status, which I know is a big goal for the town. And so there's a chapter within the plan document that kind of outlines what the steps are to apply for and become a bicycle-friendly community, where Basalt is standing kind of against peer communities, and the 10 kind of key indicators that they look for when designating communities as bicycle-friendly communities. So that should, this chapter should kind of set town staff and the town up well for, checking off some of those boxes and working towards that application. There's also funding sources identified at the end of the plan to work, to think of as implementing some of those phased improvements.
So I think this evening staff would welcome questions that council has on the plan. Ultimately, if you're comfortable, staff would recommend approval of the resolution you have in your packet.
Just my 2 cents. As one person that spends a lot of time on Willets Lane.
Yeah.
I wonder how, and I'm sure with signage and all that, how you could encourage cyclists to be on the path. My worry is that even if you widen it for that purpose that the cyclists will stay in the road, because they are in the road. And, and everybody, I feel like people are so respectful, but they're going into like the oncoming lane to avoid the cyclists. So just, again, my opinion, I think on Willets Lane, a designated bike lane would be the best solution.
And that is something that we definitely heard during the outreach. And I think one of the goals was creating improvements that would be comfortable for, most people in that all ages and abilities realm. And for a lot of people, just a single striped bike lane is not very comfortable, except for those really confident cyclists who are connecting to get to the Rio Grande to do, some training rides. And so the phased improvements that we did, starting with the widening of the path, would be to kind of serve that all ages and abilities crowd, knowing that the confident cyclists are still likely to ride on Willets Lane, because they're going to be traveling at faster speeds than maybe families cycling on the path with younger children. And so one way that I think we can encourage use of the path instead of the roadway, especially for people who aren't in that ultra confident cycling group, in the wayfinding package, we did include pavement markings that have both like a bike's allowed and a bike's maybe not allowed for paths or sidewalks in town where we don't necessarily want to have cyclists, but we could, put that bike emblem on the Willets Lane path to encourage that. Wayfinding signage can also encourage cyclists to utilize the path over the road. Education campaigns.
Okay, great.
So I think there's a lot of folks who will continue or even use the Willets Lane trail more. And then as Willets Lane evolves and grows, there are definitely things to encourage that use.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. I can see plenty of cyclists not feeling comfortable to be in that skinny lane.
I'll go. There were some comments in your process of going out to the community that were addressing things that needed immediate attention, more or less. Some places where some of the crossings have, looking a little sad and things like that. So is there any plan to move forward on a few things that have sort of had deferred maintenance over time and just need to spruce it up? Or is that
this one? So if this resolution is passed tonight, there's some things that we can do potentially this year. Paint some crosswalks that don't exist and do some minor maintenance. And then we can kind of look through what needs actual engineering drawings and what just needs some maintenance and work with Public Works on that.
great? And then I really do like the Nicosito signs that come off of Midland through the post office area onto the bridge. And I think that you, looking at the sign designs you're looking at, if you can reflect some of that, that's great.
I think he actually helped with
Did he help?
these ones, right?
He influenced the design, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a pretty talented guy. The one thing, though, that you just mentioned about the Hooks Lane Bridge, and the other thing I think about is the open space trailhead there that gets a lot of activity, and that's becoming kind of a, busy little intersection. And there's some vegetation and stuff there too that's complicated, but I think that needs to be part of the discussion with the county at some level, especially going forward. And also, I really like what they did up on Cemetery Lane in Aspen with the speed tables and the trail on both sides. And that works pretty well. So.
Yeah, and in the first phase of improvements for this, there were locations identified where there could be maybe raised crossings, kind of adding that speed table effect along the road to aid in that traffic calming.
Thanks.
Any other thoughts, questions, motions?
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt resolution number 16, series of 2025.
Second.
If I may, with all due respect to Councilperson Berman, I forgot she was online. And so technically under our remote participation policy, we do need to do a roll call vote. So Apologies for,
Do we gotta go back?
just on the last ordinance, there was a motion and a second. We'll go, after we take this vote, we'll go back and do the roll call on that one.
Parking?
On the parking, that's the only one we need.
Steer me wrong.
I know.
Jeez. Clown around here.
Hannah's hiding in the Zoom over there.
We
No
just
picture.
kick her off the Zoom.
I know, I'm sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are still currently on,
7C.
yes, resolution number 16. And that's been moved and seconded. We can do a voice vote on that one or not?
No,
Roll call.
Roll
Yeah,
call,
roll
yeah,
call.
see?
So just to explain it, on the remote participation policy, all the resolutions and ordinances that are not on the consent agenda require a roll call vote.
Should add this to this page, Pam.
I think it's on there.
I think it's on there.
No.
Oh, your phone was covering it.
No, it's Hannah's joining Zoom tonight.
It's not on the back.
Nope. I do read. Okay, been moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
I did.
Andrew, thank you.
Peter and
Okay, ready for roll call?
Yes.
Okay, let's move ahead. Rick Stevens,
Yes.
Angel Dupre-Bouchard,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
Hannah Berman,
Yes.
and Angela Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Okay, we are going to backtrack. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to backtrack back to 7B, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 7, series of 2025, which had to do with parking. Do I have to read the whole thing?
No, so we had the motion in the second, and Pam, if you could just call the roll for the record.
Okay, we'll call the roll for the record on ordinance 7. Angel Dupre-Bouchard,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
Hannah Berman,
Yes.
Angela Anderson,
Yes.
and Rick Stevens.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. Awesome. Resolution of the town resolution 7D, resolution number 17, series of 2025. Resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving the Triangle Park improvements and authorizing staff to enter into a contract with Kaiser Construction, Inc. Michelle and Justin. Welcome, Justin.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right in there, 2 weeks. Got your contracts and everything.
Well, thank you for the time this evening, council. So before you use the Triangle Park Improvements Project that was identified as part of a post priority. It's kind of twofold. There's above ground and underground improvements as part of this. The underground improvements will be a brand new irrigation vault that will improve worker safety for both the town and a few businesses. That vault is shared between the town and a few other businesses in the surrounding area, as well as there's been a lot of infrastructure changes within the existing vault. And so this new larger vault makes room for, the future, the next 15, 20, 30 years down in that vault. And then moving above ground, what we like to call the Alpine Garden, which we think is going to give, great visual appeal right there as you come into Willits. And Chris, the town arborist, has worked to put together a demonstration garden there where we can show, that you can have a great looking landscape that is water sensitive, especially in the arid west. You will also see improvements to there's the metal hatch there that tends to burn kids' feet in the middle of summer. So putting some decking over that, as well as extension of the play area, getting rid of that crusher fines and doing a rubber safety mat. And a few other odds and ends with plantings. Expect the project to take around 9 to 10 weeks, right there in that, right at the intersection where East Valley Road and Robinson Street come together. Happy to entertain any questions or concerns that council has.
And I'll just add in that Post reviewed this and was so excited about the Alpine Garden at this space. Sorry that we don't have a drawing of that to show, but it's really going to be an amazing boulders with plantings that come out of it. Just a really special, different kind of garden for Basalt to exhibit. So Post was super excited about the project.
And what's the timeline? It'll be 19 weeks, but starting.
Yeah, we're working with the contractor, Kaiser Construction, somewhere around the middle of May, with 9 to 10 weeks. So right around that May, either the May 12th or the week after for start date.
Do you anticipate that that will make the splash pad inaccessible, or?
I think we're going to, there are certain aspects through construction that we're going to be in that area, so it won't be accessible, but as soon as we can open that up, we will certainly do that.
Yeah, ideally, probably the splash pad won't be open for a couple of weeks in June. But if we can start sooner, we can have it open quicker. There will be some impacts to parking. We'll have to close off some parking in that area, but people can still go to the park, and we're still going to have, for instance, the local vocals on Fridays there. So the park will have access, but we'll have to turn the water off, and things like that to do the improvements. The other tidbit here of not waiting until doing this in the fall is that we really want to procure the materials and everything now before things go up in cost. So that's been part of the goal of starting sooner than later.
Who's Kaiser? Are they a specialty contractor?
So they are based out of Grand Junction. It's kind of there's been a few members of larger GE firms that have got together and started their own smaller company. We've seen a lot of success here in the town working directly with them. Most recently, they helped us with the bathrooms over here at the Basalt River Park.
They built those?
They helped value and install quite a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Are they hiring local subcontractors?
Yes, the landscape aspect is local, Good Earth, I believe, as well as the excavator is Timberline, which is local to the valley as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And it's Will Kaiser, and he's done a bunch of projects here in town, worked for Shaw.
FCI.
Or FCI.
Yeah, FCI. Yeah.
So he's been a good partner, as he mentioned, on a few different projects for us.
Well, Timberline's the second generation off of us, so and thank you for the corridor over there.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Any other questions, concerns, motions?
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt resolution number 17, series of 2025.
It's been moved and seconded. Come on, Anna.
The delay.
Yeah.
Moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Sure. Let's begin with Hannah Berman,
Yes.
Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Rick Stevens,
Yes.
Jill Dupré-Bouchard,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
and Dieter Schindler.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There you are, Jamie. Back for the action. Okay, let's moving right along. We got 7E, resolution number 18, series of 2025. Resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Roaring Fork School District for grants of tobacco tax funds. Mr. Mahoney.
Okay, so this is actually bringing a grant opportunity back to you. So 3 years ago, we had approved a grant with both the middle school and the high school for some teacher assistance in those schools. Those are set to expire. They are coming up on their deadlines of when they need to hire teachers for next year. And they've changed it up just slightly, but asking essentially for the same amount of money. The BMS request is asking for a full-time teacher and coordinator for their enrichment and support services, and then a part-time teacher to offer programming in the arts, PE, and STEM. And then the BHS is asking for 1 FTE to provide additional opportunities in performing arts and to support their college and career planning. And I think I see Jamie Hozak is on the line here. He's the middle school principal, and Megan just jumped on too. Hi, Megan. Megan Hartman is the high school principal, and they would be available for questions. But they've come in and reported out to us on the results of having the extra help, and essentially what I've proposed in here. Megan had asked for 1 year, Jamie had asked for 3, is that we approve 1 year for both of those and then engage with the district about this time next year, maybe even a little bit earlier, just to ensure that this still makes sense for both of our entities. When I spoke with the superintendent, about 6 months ago, we were talking about grants and tobacco tax, and there are certain things that the school can fund, and there are certain things that the school just really doesn't have the resources for. Teachers is one that they can fund. This year, they're not in a position to be able to fund these ones, which is why I am advocating for it. But moving into the future, we've had discussions that stem to after-school activities for our middle school kids, as an example. And, I think we've had, just sort of fruitful discussions with the administration of the school district. And so I'd like to, instead of locking that in for over 3 years, do it for a year, and then we can get together with these folks as well as the superintendent and just have that conversation. So with that, if you have questions for them, and as you heard from what Ryan read, we've got an IGA in here each for the middle school and the high school, and then a resolution that would approve both. We do have in this year's budget, I think it'll actually work out because the asks went up by just a bit, about $12,500. The timing of when they ask for that payment may require that we just up our budget in that tobacco tax line item. But I actually think that the timing may work out just fine, that we won't have to do that. But it's really not that much more for us. So staff would recommend approval.
Okay, should we hear from them, I'm guessing?
Sure, yeah.
Jamie or Megan, would you like to tell us about these amazing positions?
Absolutely. I think I'll Megan, do you want to go like younger up or high school down?
She gave you approval, Jamie.
Okay. So the two major things we're looking at for this coming year, and Ryan's right, I think in terms of our financial needs, it's probably for us to kind of look at next year first and then the longer term after that. The one immediate thing is that in order to offer a full suite of specials and arts offerings, we're not currently funded through our district funding to offer that. And there's a part-time position that really just allows us to complete a set of 4 offerings in the arts, PE, and STEM for our kids that I think is like the programming our community expects us to deliver. And so there's a little bit of like a half-time position that is just needed to offer full programming for classes of the size we have at Basalt Middle School. And there's a second position that is our full-time position that is both, the district and the town have collaborated to fund our peak teacher, which is a teacher who engages their advanced learners. Our programming is really robust for a small school for advanced learners, and our results are some of the best in the Valley in ELA and mathematics in terms of growth for gifted and talented students, and we want to keep that. And so this position is both the continuing to have there be a full set of offering for advanced learners across all 4 grades, and deliver some enrichment programming. And so if you've been following some of the conversation we've been having at school, we have had to make some decisions about what to prioritize in early grades based on some decreases in enrollment. And we've prioritized some literacy and biliteracy. And this position, this grant will allow us to also provide those enrichment opportunities in science, STEM, and social studies that some of our kids who are not behind in literacy deserve and need to be prepared for high school. And that's kind of a summary of the 1.5 positions that we are seeking to get help with from Basalt for next year.
Thank you.
I think my ask kind of builds off of Jamie's, really. I think they are very cohesive. My goal is to build our arts programming at Basalt High School. So currently we offer 1 section of band, and Chance Davis, who is teaching band at Basalt Middle. Sorry, hold on, my 8-year-old is interrupting. I need right now. I'll come home. Like 10 minutes. Okay. Just put on other shoes. Sorry, we're going to the park. And Chance is hoping to expand to have an upper like advanced band option at the high school, rather than just 1 band class. And to be fair, our students love it and they are continuing to take band for 4 years in high school. But we really believe that our juniors and seniors, those advanced students, really deserve an opportunity to take kind of a more advanced course. So my goal is to build band and music offerings at the high school, in addition to trying to offer a section of choir and a section of drama, which haven't been offered at Basalt High School for a long time. The other piece is funding for college and career discovery for all of our juniors. So we have support from BEF for next year for a half of an FTE for a college and career counselor. And so we support the other half of that FTE where every single senior takes college and career discovery 2. But we believe that it's really important to build the college and career discovery process starting their junior year, where students are really looking into what different careers they're interested in, what colleges they want to be going to, what their interests are. And it really is meant to be both college and career. I want every student who graduates from high school at Basalt High School to be ready to go to college if they so choose. And I want them to feel like they have the knowledge and skills to be able to go into the workforce or explore different occupational and I have a cat now, different occupational trade schools as well. I don't know if you guys have any questions for either Jamie or I. And I apologize for being distracted by the cat and the kid.
Don't apologize.
It's real life.
Ryan, I had one question. So, the contracts are drafted it for 3 years. Are you saying you just want them to be for a 1-year term?
They should be for 1-year term,
Right.
and then we'd revisit next year to see if we would continue them on. So whatever mechanics we'd want for that.
Yeah, so right now they'd automatically renew. So if council, we could just bring it back for council to
Right,
approve
right.
again next year. So if council wanted to pass the resolution, I would suggest it be with the amendment that the term be for 1 year.
Well, I think it's a good opportunity and it's a good strategy because I think it'll encourage a little more dialogue between the school district and the BEF and the pre-collegiate program and Capstone and a half a dozen others that are focused, CMC's vision for their, career building opportunities at that high school, college level. the whole cradle to career thing starting to come together pretty good. And, you know, I think that it's very timely because that's how we're going to get through the next, whatever, decade, is to do that more. So I would support that 1 year for sure.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing this to us. I think these intergovernmental agreements are super important. It's awesome that we get to spend this money on our kids, and just continue. I know the schools are going through some budgetary crises, and for us to be able, as a town, to support our students is awesome. And I can selfishly know that my kid has a better school because of it. So thank you.
Just because I'm curious, if after a year, you know, it's decided that the district can pay for these positions, you know, that it's in their budget, do we have any idea of other ways that we'd be able to spend this money to benefit the schools? Like, have we already identified some opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I think in their infancy, yes. You know, a few of the concepts that we've talked with Anna about most recently are after school activities programming mainly focused at the middle school. And, you know, one of the ideas there was sort of utilizing existing infrastructure that's on campus, but needs probably a facelift and some work, right? So those could be one-time dollars that got put into that, you know, into that building. And then, you know, potentially some additional funds for the programming piece of it. And then secondarily, you know, they are also standing up their pre-K program at the schools too. And so, you know, there may be some opportunity in that as well. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but, you know, I think it's, that one is new to them. So I think they're kind of, you know, still feeling their way through it. I mean, I think they're doing a good job with it, but it's a new service. So there may be an opportunity there as well for some scholarship type activity. That being said, we also know that there's potentially a ballot question coming in November where there's another effort afoot to create a sort of a childcare authority that may be the answer for some of those services. But nonetheless, you know, I think there are needs, and I think we've done a really good job of maintaining communication with the schools over the last, you know, 6-7 years that we've had the tobacco tax, and figuring out ways to work it out and deploy those dollars. We do hold back some of the dollars. I'm telling you more than you wanted to hear about. We do hold back some of the dollars, just in case there's a precipitous drop in tobacco spending, that we can kind of cover these obligations that we have that are multi-year. But then also for the if and whens, you know, occasionally something will come up that, you know, fits squarely under the tobacco tax that we're able to then support within the community. So it's good to have a little bit of dry powder there, but we do a good job of spending the lion's share to put that to use in the community.
So. I agree that you do. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments from Jamie or Megan? You guys good?
No, just an expression of gratitude. I think we're really lucky to have a supportive community. We feel that every day. And just thank you for entertaining this.
Yeah, I echo Jamie. I am so thankful that I get to work for the Basalt community and work with our students and find ways to support them. We have amazing teachers, we have amazing schools, and we're really excited and appreciative of the support that we have from the community.
Thank you, guys. Any other comments, questions, concerns, motions?
Mayor, move that town council adopt resolution 15 June of 2025 with the amendment that they will be granted in 1-year terms.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Absolutely. Let's begin with Hannah Berman.
Yes.
Thank you, Hannah. Angela Anderson?
Yes.
Rick Stevens?
Yes.
Angel Dupre-Bouchard?
Yes.
Ryan Slack?
Yes.
Dieter Schindler?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay. 7F, resolution number 19, series of 2025. Resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving an agreement with KRW Associates for recruitment and related services to fill the vacancy in the Office of Town Manager for the recruitment and related services to fill the vacancy in the Office of Town Manager. Whatever that means.
Okay, so I'll
That's
jump
your
in.
fault.
Yeah, yes, it is my fault. Sorry. So online here, we have Mark Collins and Lauren Kramer, it looks like. Lauren owns KRW Associates, and Mark is one of his associates that has done a number of recruitments around Colorado. You may recognize his face. He helped us a few years back with, or maybe it was just a year ago. Yeah, last year. Right. With our retreat for council and goal setting. And so it's staff's recommendation to move forward with KRW. I think they've got a good set of eyes on different Colorado managers and even those out of state that are looking and are able to, put their best foot forward on finding the right placement for the town manager position. And as I'm sure Mark will mention, having the work experience is important, but then also having the right fit for, living in the mountains versus maybe just having experience in a more city or urban setting. So with that, I don't know, Mark or Lauren, if you'd like to say hi, and at this point, staff would recommend moving forward. They can talk a little bit about the timeline on this, but with an approval tonight, we can go ahead and get started. And there will be some outreach to council to communicate with you all, get some ideas of what you'd be looking for, and they'd want to bring you along every step of the way. So.
You bet. Thanks, Ryan, and maybe I'll kick it off and then I'll turn it over to Lauren. Mayor, Council, it's good to see you again. It was last year at about this time that we had the strategic planning retreat. I think that went really well, and congratulations that you're following through on a lot of those items and those goals and objectives that we talked about. One of the things that we didn't anticipate is that you'd be looking for a new town manager. So we're going to have to improvise and think on the fly here a little bit. And as Ryan mentioned, we have been in the business of recruitment, KRW Associates, for approximately 17 years. And we do specialize in smaller communities, specifically mountain resort communities, and those places that we feel that we've got a really good handle on the clientele, the managers, the administrators that be interested in those kinds of opportunities. So that's really our specialization. We don't do the big cities. We don't do the Arvadas, the Westminsters, the Thorntons. We stay small in terms of that focus. And we are especially tuned in to the Roaring Fork. We've done a number of searches on the Roaring Fork and up and down the I-70 corridor, and in what I think we all know as ski communities. So we feel really comfortable in this realm and feel that we could do a really excellent job for your community in finding you somebody of the same caliber that Ryan has performed for you for the last 8 years for the town of Basalt. I will now turn it over to Lauren, and maybe he'll kind of provide you a little bit of a snapshot of our process and our procedure and the success that we've had in following through on those particular pieces. So Lauren, if you want to take it over.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And thank you, Mayor and members of council. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Lauren Kramer. I'm one of the managing partners of KRW Associates and also one of the founders. We've been in business for about 18 years. And as Mark said, although we have done some work nationally, our primary focus is the Rocky Mountain region. We know mountain communities very well. We know Colorado and Wyoming, Montana, Utah.
Whoops. Looks like we possibly lost Lauren here for a second. With that, Ryan, maybe what I might do, Mayor and Council, what I might do is just provide you a really quick overview of some of the process elements that we would involve ourselves in. One of the very first things that we would do is we want to do outreach with not only the elected officials, but also staff members and then any other key stakeholders that you point out to us to find out just exactly the qualifications, the credentials that you seek in a new manager for Basalt, and maybe more specifically talking about the challenges and opportunities that that person would encounter in coming on board to the community. So we like to go ahead and give a really good presentation to potential candidates in a brochure and a posting that talks about the community, all the wonderful amenities and the fine qualities that Basalt has to offer, some beautiful pictures that go along with that. But we also like to talk about the position itself and just exactly why it would be exciting and a professional challenge for any managers, administrators that are looking at this opportunity, not only in Colorado, but across the Rocky Mountain region, and really, quite frankly, across the country, because we cast a big net and we make sure that we try and invite as many applications as we possibly can. After we glean that information from you, we've got somebody in our firm, Gina McCrail, that does an outstanding job in putting together what we call our posting. And once we put that together, we'll show you a draft and say, are there any edits, any modifications that you want to make? And then we provide that posting across the country to a number of websites, to a number of job sites that, again, give us that big wide net that we cast to try and find as many applicants as possible to apply to the position. Once we have assembled that, we will give you weekly updates, if not more frequently, in terms of what's going on progress-wise, in terms of the number of applications, the quality of those applications, any other elements that we're encountering in terms of going forward and visiting with potential candidates. So we keep you very much in the loop in terms of what's going on in terms of process. Once we have a deadline established for getting those applications, then we come back to you and talk about that assembled list of all those applications and talk about a tiered spreadsheet that we will provide to you that shows you the very highest qualified people in what we call a tier A through a tier B and then a BC and so forth, to give you a recommendation in terms of the people that have the highest credentials, education, experience, background, so that you've got something to respond to as you look at those numbers. Once you have selected who you feel are your semifinalists, then we do something a little bit unique in the industry and what we've had good success with. We do video recordings with those applicants. And we do those video recordings in such a way that you view those, you, the council members, and select who you feel should be your finalists that will be on site for the final interview process. But we feel like through that vetting process that you winnow down that list and get some of the very best and most qualified people that we feel might be a good fit for your community. Once we get to that finalist stage, we would ask you to select dates that would work for you. Probably it's going to be latter part of the summer, if not even the early fall, given our timing, that we would like to go ahead and do the on-site interviews. We like to do a meet and greet community gathering. We like to do outreach with staff so that they have a chance to interface with the candidates. We like to do a field trip so that those individuals get to see and know your community and get boots on the ground. Those are all the elements that are involved in the process itself. But one of the things that I think is really valuable is we give you so many inputs so that to help you and assist you in your decision-making process. You're going to get application materials, you're going to get reference reports, you're going to get background investigations that we do, social media investigations. Even when we do that meet and greet that I mentioned earlier, we do feedback forms so that you get feedback from community members that attend that function and tell you what they thought about the candidates. You'll certainly get feedback from staff members that get a chance to meet them. So we try and provide you as many inputs as possible so that you have a lot of criteria and a lot of great information as you go forward to make that decision. In terms of timing and schedule, as I described that process, we're probably looking at anywhere from a 4 to 5 month window to kind of put all that together. Some of that is dependent upon the quick turnaround that we get from you in terms of picking semifinalists, selecting finalists, picking that final date. But basically, by and large, we've seen that we're basically in that 4 month window in terms of following that progression of that process that I just described for you. It looks like Lauren is back on again, and hopefully maybe he's got a better connection. So I'll turn it back to him and see if I missed anything. Go ahead, Lauren.
Well, my apologies. I thought I was doing just so well, and then I was talking to myself. So I apologize. But I did log in and heard Mark's overview, and I don't know that I could add too much to what Mark said. I certainly don't want to take your time just reviewing our proposal. I think the timeline is pretty well laid out. It's very doable, and as Mark said, we strive very diligently to try to stay on a schedule as close as we can. And as Mark was mentioning, keeping you well informed throughout the loop of the process. One of the things in that very first step, and I apologize if Mark has covered this, but one of the most important first steps is getting your input in the kind of individual that you're looking for that would be your ideal candidate. What kind of skills, abilities, education, background, experience that you're really looking for. And we do appreciate the fact that there's a lot of qualified people out there, but really what it comes down to is a person that has the skills that's going to be the very best fit for you and your community. And we work hard in our process to try to narrow down those people that are going to be the kind of fit that you're looking for. We know that, and we appreciate your time, and we know that you're all busy, and one of the ways we can get that input from you is we can send you an email link, and we can actually give you a few questions to consider, and then you can give us an outline of the kind of skills, abilities, the kind of person that you're looking for, rather than trying to schedule another. And I know it's very difficult to schedule meetings where you're all present. If there's another format that the council would be interested in, we certainly are very flexible. But I think that's the very first step. And the sooner that we can get to that stage, the more, the easier it will be to develop that posting. I'm sure Mark covered it, but once we get that posting developed, and we really want to market your community in that advertisement, it's real important that we have someone on your staff that will be a good link or a go-to person for us to get photographs, some of the information that we need for the posting. Some of the other things that we'll be looking for that we'd like to include in the posting is what you envision on the horizon for the next 3 to 5 years for your community, and what kind of challenges, not just challenges, but what kind of opportunities are available for that new manager, and we include that into the posting to generate interest. Mark may have also mentioned this, and I apologize if he did, but one of the other things that we do, we learned years ago that you can no longer rely on just posting a position and hoping that people see it and apply. We do a pretty diligent outreach. We have a database of individuals that have performed extremely well in other processes. They may be in a position currently, either as a manager or as an assistant manager. They're just looking for an opportunity. Colorado right now is really a viable market. People, for a lot of reasons, are really looking to relocate into Colorado. So we anticipate that we're going to get a great response. But the first step, obviously, is getting that input from you and highlighting Basalt's character, highlighting what is what's unique about Basalt and why someone would want to live and work there.
Awesome.
Might ask if there's any questions of us.
Any questions?
No, I certainly, thank you, Mark and Lauren. I certainly like the idea of receiving an email from you all with, some kind of prompts or questions or things that we can, since you guys are clearly the professionals and have the experience in this realm, kind of direct us in what we should be thinking about as far as what we're looking for and who we're looking for to give you the information you need.
Sure. It does expedite the process to take that step rather than trying to set up additional meetings.
How will you, the inputs that you're going to gather, I've heard a lot of technical sort of efforts being made, and you have a contract in front of us. How do you build that into what the person might understand about our culture here in the Mid-Valley and the difference between here and Minturn? We're in 2 counties, almost 3, with, and I'm sure you're familiar with anybody that's been living adjacent to Vail or any place like that. But I think that one of the things that Basalt has that's unique is a significantly strong culture as a community. And, we're able to adapt. And, elected officials typically turn over every 3 to 4 years. And the comment came up of the social and economic fabric of the community and what's part of it now. And do you guys highlight that at some level so this person that we're looking at comes with an idea of what he's going to be dealing with, the diversity and the commutes and the whole thing, housing? How do you fit that?
Yes.
How do you fit that social, economic, social, emotional into this discussion with the candidate?
It's a great question, and but it is an important question, and it's important to the advertisement, what we call the posting. We have a senior associate that we call her our marketing director. She's got the skills to bring together information that we'll gather not only from you, but information that's available about the community, and put that into a narrative style with photographs. We really highlight one of the things that's really attractive in the posting, particularly on different websites, is really emphasizing the community through photographs, the unique aspects of the community through photographs. Those things are very, very important. We really like photographs that show community activities, people in the community. It may have been a festival, it may have been, whatever the case may be, but that helps to demonstrate or show that character of the community that you're talking about. And I think the takeaway is to try to develop a snapshot of why this new, because one of the things that the candidates are doing, they're assessing you and your community as much as you are eventually going to be assessing them. So it's important that initially they see that character and the kind of community that they're applying for, and that eventually they and their family are going to be living in. So a lot of that is narrative that we build. And as I said, we have a marketing director that is just, she's an expert at doing that. But it also is complemented by those photographs that we're talking about. And of course, the other aspects of the posting, including the challenges, the opportunities. Certainly we include information about the salary range, the benefit package, all of those things are important to someone that's considering applying. I hope that answers your question.
Right, and Lauren, thanks. I would follow up and simply say, we're currently coming down to the closing stages of the recruitment for Carbondale for their town manager. And Counselor, some of those same questions came up. They said, Carbondale, we're an extremely unique community. We value diversity here, and we've got an incredibly strong culture that we have fostered over the years. And how do we promote that? How do we message that? And I think we were able to do that with some of the methodologies that Laura just talked about. But we also have ongoing conversations with potential candidates. So we visit about those elements and about those very special dynamics that represent the community. And as Lauren also mentioned, they're doing their own research. You know, those good, highly qualified candidates, they're looking at your comp plan. They're looking at your minutes. They're watching some of the recordings of your meetings. They are watching some other committee meetings. So they're getting a good feel. They're getting a great snapshot of the community itself. So they're fully aware of the really extraordinary dynamics of the Basalt community. So it's all of those inputs that are helping to convey that message.
Any other questions? A motion?
Mayor, I move that the town council adopt resolution number 19, series of 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please, Pam, please call the roll.
Absolutely. Let's begin with Ryan Slack,
Yes.
Dieter Schindler,
Yes.
Hannah Berman,
Yes.
Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Rick Stevens,
Yes.
Angel Dupré-Bouchard.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Really look forward to working with you and getting this project started.
Thank you very much, Council, and appreciate your time and look forward to working with you.
You bet. We'll be in touch, Mayor, Council. Thanks for your vote of confidence. We really feel like we're going to be able to have an outstanding response to this.
Awesome. Thank you. I like they don't get paid till they find something. That's nice. Okay. Well, thanks, but no thanks, guys. We're going to move on to 7G, resolution number 20, series of 2025. This is a resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, and an appointment of an interim town manager. Mr. Conklin.
Sure. So during the period after Ryan leaves and until a new town manager is hired, we'll need an interim town manager. And this is a resolution to appoint Doug, our finance director, as the interim town manager. And just kind of in that role would continue forward with kind of the path that Ryan has set the organization on until there's a new town manager that is hired. One thing that's not in the resolutions that if you could include as an amendment would be that serving in that role would include a 10% pay increase during the period in which he's serving as the interim town manager. And Doug is accepting of this role, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
And that was my only question.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're not mentioning if Doug's being compensated for this.
Well, it said I was going to congratulate him for not taking any money because it's written in E that he's not. But apparently that's getting adjusted.
Yeah. And that's pretty typical since you're taking on those additional duties.
I thought Doug just loved us so much that he was going to sacrifice more time.
He's a martyr.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
Any questions, concerns? Motions?
Mayor, I move that town council adopt resolution number 20, series of 2025, with the amendment that the interim town manager, Doug Pattison, will receive a 10% pay increase for taking on these responsibilities
During the period he's the,
during the period that he is interim town manager until a new town manager is hired.
you got it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Okay, let's begin with Angela Anderson,
Yes.
Rick Stevens,
Yes.
Angel Dupré-Bouchard,
Yes.
Ryan Slack,
Yes.
Peter Schindler,
Yes.
Hannah Berman.
Yes.
Thank you, Hannah. Motion carries unanimously.
Motion carries. This meeting
right.
is adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh.
Oh.